The love of Japanese high school students Makoto and Noboru is tested when Makoto is sent to fight aliens in a distant universe, and voicemails to and from Earth become months to years in transmission.
Two problems. Another universe.
Yeah.
Another universe.
A distant universe.
A distant universe, which means another universe.
Yes.
No, it's in the same galaxy. It's another star system.
Yeah. Another. Yes. You're right.
The Milky Way galaxy is 105,000 light years across.
And technically, there's only one universe.
The furthest that they,
there's
the furthest
multiple
that they
galaxies.
go is like 9 light years thereabouts.
Yeah.
And secondly, it's not voicemails; it's text messages,
like
emails.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they do play out.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's in a way it's done. Anyways,
other than that, that's basically what it is. Yeah.
Anyways, folks, this is episode 200. That's right. We have done 200 episodes of Watchin It. I was going to say Talking It, but we have not done 200 episodes of Talking It. But we've done 200 episodes of Talking It. I am your host, Donnell. With me is Robert. We have no guests. We have nothing special.
It's nothing special. Look, I've talked about it before. Like it's. I don't like the 75 year or anything. Yeah. It's 10, it's 5, it's 10, it's 25, it's 50, it's 100, it's 250, it's 500, it's 1,000.
That was just 100 to 500, but okay, 250. So
I think it's like 250. You gotta. That's
50 episodes.
It's a ramp up. It's a logarithmic, I guess, maybe scale. But yeah, I like whenever I see a post, it's like it's been 17 years since blah blah blah. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah. No, I mean, this is nothing. But people and birthdays, I'm like, once you hit after 25. I'm like, it's just, you just take it in 10 years chunks. Yeah. Yes. I'm 30 now, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60. Anybody who's like, I'm 66, like, who the fuck cares? I don't care. Though I will say,
every time.
I will say, once you hit 80, you can start counting individual years again, because it's like, I'm still here. I'm still I'm 88. I made another so
it resets at 100 for sure.
Oh yeah, 100. I'm about to say So from 25 to I'm going to do 90. 25 to 90, you get 10-year chunks. After 90, you have free reign to count. You can count days if you want.
Yeah, you get to 100, it's like I'm 106 months.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm 145 days. It's all good. All right. So, Voices of a Distant Star.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're covering today.
Yes.
It's outside the box one that I presented to you, Donnell.
Yeah.
Top line, yes or no?
100% yes.
Absolutely.
100% yes. This is like when you first told me it wasn't a series, so I was like, okay. Because at first I was like, this is a series. But then I was like, okay, well, this is obviously like a movie of these. Probably an hour, maybe even 2 hours long. And then like, it's 25 minutes.
25 minutes, yep.
They pack so much into this 25 minutes that literally, while I was watching it, I was sitting there like, man, this is about to wrap up. And then I checked. I'm like, oh, no, we still got 2 minutes. This is a packed
it is
25 minutes.
Thick.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is amazing that they are able to portray this story so well in that time frame.
So I would say that this has a certain past lives feel to it.
Yes.
Which was one of the Oscar. The whole time I was watching Past Lives, I was just like, this has Voices of a Distant Star written all over it. Like very good feel. Came out February 2nd, 2002.
Yeah.
Right. So it's 22 years old.
Yep.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. I watched this 22 years ago.
I was not there.
Fantastic. Loved it. 7.1 rating on IMDb. I feel like that's kind of low.
Yeah.
I see this as a solid 8.
Yeah. I think it's easy to be an 8. I would,
Yeah.
It's something else. And before we even dive into it, I just want to say, it just, the story, which we already hinted at, is gripping and opens questions, but also just things in the universe. It plays out kind of like scientifically accurate, not 100%, but in how they deal with time dilation and all that sort of stuff. And it makes you real, if you at least for me, I'm not a big space travel person, but I've thought about it, like how the difficulties of space travel on the things we always just talk about, oh, how cool it'd be. And it's like, there is so much. I like anything that does a realistic portrayal of space. I also like fake portrayals because I love me some Star Wars and Star Trek, but like the Expanse series, the book or show, I just love the actual realistic of, even though we in that universe, they create engines that are significantly faster than what we have now. They still make it like, if you're going to Jupiter, that is like a 2-year
Yep.
2-year one-way trip. So if you're a trucker going to Jupiter in the expansion universe and you want to, you're doing a tour, that's 4 years of your life. Like you don't just pop over to Jupiter and come back.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're gone for 4 years.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what this movie does too, is it just dealing with the actual repercussions. Like we always like, oh, space would be so amazing. And it's like, yeah, but to actually be able to do what we want to do, like going to the other planets, to going out of this galaxy, there are so many hurdles that we either need to come to terms with or find a way to overcome if it's scientifically possible. And that's one thing this movie does.
Yeah, it plays around with time. I think it makes some mistakes, which we'll get into. But I mean, it like you said, it's really like once we get into, even if we figure out FTL.
Yeah.
Once you get on that ship and it takes off, you're saying goodbye to everybody you know.
Yep.
Another book that deals with this fantastically, and I suggest everyone read, is Speaker for the Dead. It's part of the Enders series.
Oh yeah.
And they time dilation is in full force. So he's on a planet with Ender's on a planet with his sister, and he's like, I'm gonna go to this faraway star system.
Yeah.
It's gonna take me like a year to get there. 5,000 years are gonna pass, or something like that. Like you're going to be dead in dust.
Yeah.
Before I even get to where I'm going. So it's like goodbye.
Yeah.
And that's stuff to think about.
There's no chance of us ever seeing each other again. Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the production here.
Okay.
It took 7 months to make. It was made by one guy doing all the art and all the writing. He did it on an old MacBook, like really old. This is,
we're not talking about that sleek stuff you see these days.
Written and directed by Makoto Shinkai, voiced by him in the original. So there's 3 versions with voices. The first one is with him and his girlfriend, now his wife, Mika Shinhara. Right? That's the original version. And then it got released on DVD where they brought in 2 professional voice actors, which I don't have the name for. And then, of course, there's a dub that has two English actors.
So the female professional actress was Sumi Moto. And then the English female was Cynthia Martinez. And then for the male, it was Shiro Suzuki and Adam Colin.
Excellent.
Yep. I watched the dubbed version.
I did as well, yep.
I started watching the sub version, but then I needed to be able to do some other stuff. And one thing I did notice is in the sub version, they give you all the text and stuff. Where in the dub version, they just kind of highlight like parts of the different text messages.
And I don't think you're really losing too much if you don't see the text.
That's what after watching it, I was like, yeah, I get why.
The dub version is perfectly fine. Yeah, this was I will say that the animation, this is like 3D animated, definitely dated, but still beautiful. I do think it's hilarious that it's still got the anime thing of like you cut something in space and just gallons of blood fly out and stuff like that. But you gotta think this is 22 years ago, single guy on a MacBook, ahead of its time in that respect. This was, now anybody could, $2,000 can have a professional setup and make a 24 episode anime, in a year. Just do it all on your MacBook Pro easily.
100%.
But harder to do 22 years ago.
This was an endeavor. To do 22 years ago. I gotta say, it's quite amazing. All that it was done.
That's all there is to talk about. There's one other voice that's extremely minor. That's like the ship operator or something like that. I think you can only audibly make out like
few times.
3 words they ever say.
There's a part where it's calling everyone back to the ship. You get that, and a few other ones. But that's pretty much it. So let's dive into the story, and then after we're done talking about the story, there's a lot of concepts I want to talk about.
Let's intermix the concepts because the story's so short.
Well, that's why I was bang out the story.
Yeah.
Basically, your story starts, we're introduced to our 2 main characters, Makoto and Norobu. And basically, they're just a high school...
Actually, I do want to back up. I'm sorry. We should have mentioned. So Makoto Shinkai, who wrote and directed this, he has gone on to do some very serious work. Like, this is a very small thing. This is like the 3rd thing he ever did.
I never actually looked
at the 2 things he didn't really do, but he did Your Name, which is a huge movie, Weathering with You, She and Her Cat, Everything Flows. These are all like 7 and 8 point rating on his IMDb, and he just had one come out this past year called Suzumi, which I haven't seen yet, but I hear it's got a ton of respect and is really highly rated. But he is the real deal nowadays. But this is like how he
also
got started.
He's done a lot of which I think is kind of cool. He's done a lot of like basically like opening cinematics and trailers for a lot of like Japanese RPGs and stuff. So I play a lot of Japanese RPGs, and the opening cinematics and a lot of them are pretty kick ass. So I'm like, this guy, he's put in a lot of work. He's definitely an established name in the anime manga.
Yeah, 5 centimeters per second. The place promised in our early days. Children who chase lost voices. Everything that he's done after Voices of a Distant Star, 7 or higher on IMDb.
It's interesting. Yeah, just looking at his start and looking at some of the stuff and then seeing where he's gone. It's just like, this is quite.
I mean, this is so good. It would propel a career.
It's so and it just shows like this man didn't have much, but he was able to put together his dream or his creation, and like you said, it got out there where people were like, hey, this guy might have something, and they definitely
anyway.
He, like I said, he got a career. He got
back to the plot. Yeah, we're introduced to our new main characters.
Yep.
They're the high school friends.
Yeah, like I don't like that thing is it seems very much like they're not even, they haven't admitted their feelings to each other at this point.
They're like 14 at this
15.
15 at this point. The atmosphere, so they're the only two voices and characters that we really meet. They're walking around this town and whatnot, deserted. Yeah. I'm assuming that like there's very few people left.
I mean,
like the planet has been attacked by an alien race.
What gets established is there's some sort of war happened. Ultimately, we were able to. It seems like we were able to repel it, but now we're like, hey, we don't want to get attacked again, so we're trying to like let's go find them now. But it looks like very much. It seems like the world is a lot emptier than what you would see. I mean, they're in Japan, and Japan is very populated. Yeah. I mean, it's the small island
and they're not out in the boonies either.
They're in the city.
Yeah,
and they don't say for sure Tokyo, but they're in a city of that looks like that scale. And just don't see anybody really else. But they're just kind of discussing as high school, their kind of futures, where they're going, what they're doing. And one of the things I like twist on this, is that we have so many stories of the young lovers and the boy goes off to war, and this one puts that on its head. Boy doesn't go off to war. He's the one who stays behind, not by choice.
He tried.
He tried. Yes, but still, and C succeeds and joins the. What's our official name? I can't remember his official name, but basically, the UN Space Army is what it joins the UN Space Army
as a mech pilot.
Yes, as a mech pilot to go basically on a mission to find who attacked us and basically wipe them out.
Yeah,
I mean the first thing. Like I said, so concept-wise, first thing is just that the whole thing of, and this is something I've always wondered, because this isn't the only anime that does this. Lots of them do it. One of my favorites of all time, Gundam Wing, all the pilots are meant to be teenage boys, is like, it's interesting how much teenage soldier, I mean, what's one of the biggest ones ever? Evangelica.
Evangelion.
Yeah, Evangelion. Both like that one is all about like basically like teen fighting in these brutal wars and stuff. And it's to me, I just
by the way, do you mean Macross? Oh no, that's Robotech. That's
Robotech, which is another one I enjoy, and also has a teen pilot. Yeah. Once again, but it's just weird how. I mean, I guess you could say it's because maybe the main. At the time, now I think anime has just grown so much that everybody watches, even older and stuff. But at the time, the main consumer of anime was teenagers, or maybe they just were playing to that, and so maybe that's why there's so many animes where teenagers are doing things that and when you look like, why are these teenagers fighting a war for humanity? But I just think, like I said, this is interesting. That's like I said, they make it clear. C is 15, just getting out of her whatever classes she's in, and now she's joining the United Army to fly off into space to fight a war against unknown enemies. And I'm like,
well, they're known. They're called the Tarsans.
The Tarsans, yeah. I mean, unknown in this.
But we should talk.
Came from or
this is all dialogue, but there's some action.
Yeah,
but it's almost all dialogue driven, and you're left to speculate a whole lot. You're not given a lot of. we don't get to ever see the aliens talk or find out what their motivations are or anything. They just have attacked for some reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so C signs up, and the first part of her thing is she's training on Mars.
Yep.
And they have some delayed communication, but it's not as bad as it's gonna get.
Yeah, about like 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, about like 6 months. So they're still talking. It's one of the things, and it just makes you, like you said, it really plays into the fact that she's 15, because it really, the fact that he's 15, they go into this like, yeah, we're gonna stay in touch, and we're gonna stay close and all that stuff. And it's like, even just the start, let's say that the fact that it's 6 months to communicate is, the fact that you thought, hey, it's going to work out, is baffling. And they're like, that's before, like, because that's what I kind of got, jumping ahead, is that the initial mission did not involve light speed travel. It was when they got into a sticky situation and realized the circumstances, that's when that got involved. But so I was like, even taken out, the initial mission was always to go out as far as Pluto and back. And with the
I took it as no, they were going out as far as they needed to go.
Well, because one thing C says, this is jumping ahead, but in one of her messages, she's like, I hope when we get to Pluto, we don't find them, so I can come back to you.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of like a scouting mission, or like, see if they're out there. If they're not, all right, let's go home, call it a day. And so, but even with that, they established, like I put down, it was a 3, because it takes about a year and a half. Not actually, probably 2 years, because I wasn't counting the 6 months of the training on Mars. But so it takes them basically 2 years for this. And I guess on the way back, you don't have the training part. So I'll just say basically it's going to take 3.5 years for this. And at this point, like I said, but he's aging at a more rapid. I was like, there's going to be at least, I mean, it's not a huge thing, because like I said, you're 15. Once you're 25 and he's 29, that's not a big deal. Yeah. But still, when you come back, he's 4.5 years older than you. Yeah. Like already. And that's before we get into what happens ultimately.
Well, okay. This is when we get into the weird time difference. So when I saw this years ago, and I've watched it a few times, in the last 20 years, I always thought it was like, okay, when she jumps, because that time would pass for him. Yeah. But no, it's instantaneous. So her perspective takes place over about 6 months, right? For him, it's 10 years.
No.
Right?
No. Because he says at one point, he says 6 months my time.
Yeah.
But that's when they get to Jupiter. So it's longer than 6 months.
Gotcha.
Because 6 months for her was just to Jupiter, and I forget how long she said it was for him, but it was 6. He was like, yeah, we've been at this for 6 months when they get to Jupiter, and she says how long it was on his, and of course it's different, but yeah, so because that's the thing,
maybe I'm jumping ahead. But from my rudimentary knowledge of physics,
I started digging into this because of watching this.
If you went through a wormhole, what should happen is, for you, the travel should be instantaneous. Yes. But for the universe, however many light years have passed, you jumped. If you jumped 100 light years, 100 years are going to pass. Or no, because it's going to be time dilation. So for every year, it's going to be 1,000. So it would be 100,000 years would pass.
Well, no, maybe that's what it is realistic. But in this movie, they make it very clear that it's instantaneous for you, and then however many light years it was for.
No, I read it differently.
Because just their ending ages proves that it's just
because that was the time of the message delay.
But no, their actual official ending ages, like how old each of them is, proves that it's only 9.5 years. Yeah.
Because she's 15 and he's 24.
He's 20.
The end.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she sends him like the happy birthday message at the end. Anyway, we're jumping ahead. But I was like, is she never coming back? Is she just out there forever? Or but like,
are you talking about at the end or just the overall the mission?
Because in my head, I'm like, okay, she's gonna go out and do this thing, right? It's gonna take, let's say, 3 years.
Yeah.
To get there, and they're stopping for long periods of time. But then I'm just like, well, then she can just jump back using the same jump technology. So she could actually get home before her message reached him.
Well, that's the thing, is they're not using jump technology until they get to Pluto. And I think it's specifically to avoid the whole... Because like I said, there was going to be some, because of just the way you age faster or slower in space, there was always going to be some lost time, essentially. But I think originally when they were like hopefully just going to Pluto and back, it was okay, a mitigated of like, okay, it will be 4 years. So everybody will be 4 years older than you, but that's not huge. And it's not, because that's when she starts sending the message right before her jump, and she's like kind of panicked and upset about it. I think it's because he realizes like, no, now what was originally, oh, you'll be 19, I'll be 15, is we're about to hit a jump, and now it's going to be a huge gap. So that thing is, that's what I was wondering. I was like, why didn't they just jump out there? And like you do age, but because the basic thing, it wouldn't be as bad than as it's going slow. But that's what I was getting, is like, oh, they were trying to mitigate that originally.
Gotcha.
So they were traveling at whatever speed, but they were traveling at normal speed, is what I'll call it, out to Pluto.
Gotcha.
In hopes that they get there, everything's cool, and you come back, and then no big loss. But once they got to Pluto, but anyway, so let's get back into the story. So C joins up, she's sending him messages, and he is, and I mean, this is where it starts to hit me. Like, you were just thinking about it, like, they're teenagers, like, of course you're gonna make this kind of thing, but it's like, you should have let him go, because the thing is, like, she's sending him these messages, and he is literally, he's narrating stuff, and he's talking about like he doesn't live. He's just waiting for her messages. Because
he talks about like, she made me strong and motivated.
And he basically sees himself as like, he's not of value without her.
And it also seems like this is kind of a desolate world, because there's not a lot of the kids have gone to war because maybe all the adults are dead or something like that. Yeah. Who knows? But he just every day he's checking the message.
Just checking the message.
And it just keeps not coming.
And then like we do get to see as they're still talking, it's taken, first 6 months, then a year, then, a year and a half just for one message. But we do get to see some growth with him, but you also see this kind of like, but you have to keep thinking like, this is cruel, but then you have to keep thinking, she's a 15-year-old girl. Yeah. Because like eventually he does, start talking about like, I've stopped checking the phone. Yeah. I'm not really concerned about it. But
after he's been waiting a year.
Every time he starts to like dig himself out of this, reliance on her, that's when the next message drops. Yep. And it kind of resets everything. And you're just like watching this guy like, dude, like, but also like the other thing, because ultimately he does, and they never actually, I don't think she ever gets this message because it's right before they jump, and who knows how that screws up thing, his last message. But he does kind of send a message, ultimately kind of like letting her go. Yeah. And I was like, man, that is one. It's like, because it's like going to be like at this point 8 years. I'm like, to get this message and know that 8 years ago, like to break up, like you talk about breaking up long distance through a text message or something, like that's some. But to break up like. It's been like knowing that, it's been 8 years, she's probably moved on, married, and all this stuff, and you're just now getting your heart broken. Yeah. Like it's just like, it's just.
I think like previous generations of humans dealt with this. Like your family went to America. Oh yeah, right, and you're back in Ireland or something. Yeah. And it's like it's going to take 6 months for the message to get across. It's like they might be dead before that message gets. Or you might be dead before the message gets
there are historical stories that I remember reading and stuff, like while doing history stuff, of people like because you didn't know, you would send a message home telling your family like, hey, made it to the new America, it's amazing, it's great, I can't wait for you guys to get here, get on the boat. And then your family gets that message like, get on the boat, and they get on the boat and they arrive in America and you're dead. You've been dead for 5 months, and you're just like, damn, that's messed. Like this was just on a smaller scale, but this was a thing on Earth at one point where it's just be like, I sent you a message 5 months, it took 5 months to get to you, and then took you 5 months to get here, and in that 10 months I starved to death 7 months ago. it's like, damn, that's some messed up shit.
But I would say this moment is when it starts to get like teary-eyed for me. It's like when he picks up the phone and gets the message, it's like, oh God, it's her. Yeah. Like, and just watching him. I say it bad. The delivery of all these lines is fantastic. Yeah. He's more just like, oh God. Yeah. He's relieved by it. Yeah. Like saddened by it. He's not like, oh God, it's her. Like he's like, oh, this chick,
Like I said, just listen to him talk about himself. Yeah. And how basically in his eyes of little value he is without her. And just knowing like, even if everything went according to plan, that's 5 years of this guy's life.
Yeah.
And things don't go according to plan. But anyway, still, like I said, so they keep communicating. One thing I want to do on a lighter note, real quick. Why? So she's 15. She joins the military. Yeah. Why is she wearing a school uniform still?
And it seems like she's trapped in her mech. Like she doesn't get to leave the mech. She just
it makes
lives
it seem like it kind of maybe get off the mech on the ship. We just don't see any of those scenes. But because he does talk about living on it and like how that's her new home now. Yeah. The Lysynthia, I think is what the ship's name is. But yeah, so like I think like I said, it's 25 minutes. We like I said, they leave a lot, so we're like, yeah, we don't get any scenes of what the ship is that they're traveling in. I mean, we get to see the ship, we don't get to see the inside. But yeah, but all the time she's always in her mech, and it's also, I mean, that's the other thing is like, so the way the cockpit is designed is it's like it's a seat with some controls, and then basically like you have 360 view around you, so everything around you is like you're on a green screen, not green screen, but like you can see. Just you don't see your mech and stuff, but like, and it's just that imagery with, especially with her like grabbing for her phone and stuff in this cockpit
of floating in space,
essentially. Like she's in a mech, but like even that's just daunting. But
an answer to why is she wearing her school uniform the whole time? Small art department.
Exactly. Yes.
Very small. The smallest art department you could get.
But anyway, so eventually they make it to Pluto, and they discover the aliens are there.
Yeah, the alien like ambush them.
Yeah, and they're in force. And so to escape, and this is where one of my questions come from, and the only thing is maybe you're trying to protect Earth, but to escape, they decide it's actually I didn't realize this until I had to rewatch the scene multiple times. They use 2 different jump technologies. Because to first escape, and this is where she says at one point.
Oh, that's right, because the jump point is at Pluto.
Yeah. And so to escape this ambush, they use like a small like hyperdrive. But even that already exponentially makes it where suddenly everything is now 2 years out. Because he literally says, I'm spending 48 messages to send you, or 48 minutes to write you a text you won't get for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's before they make the light speed jump of 8 years. And she's like realizing like this is it. Like
8.7 years.
Yeah, 8.7 years. And she's like, but yeah, so they make a, I don't know, we'll just call it hyperdrive jump that increases the difference of time by 2 years. And around this point is when he is finally, well, here's the thing is I keep on saying finally getting over, but that's one thing I kind of think is like, I think he's fooling himself when he says things like he's getting over.
Yeah.
Because his ultimate trajectory at the end of the story kind of shows that he's still hung up on her.
Yeah.
But anyway, still he, in his mind at least, is finally like he's moved out and he's gotten a job and he's basically put the phone away. It's in like a drawer or something.
Yeah.
And stuff. And he's not taking the phone every day. But yeah, so this is right around the time when he's letting her go, and then 2 years passes and he hears that phone buzzing in the drawer. Yeah. Which I'm like, what is the battery life on that phone, man? Like, what's going on there?
Future tech.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, it's 2056.
Yes.
So, 32 years away. Come on.
Yeah.
Get those forever batteries.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. Anyway, no, she gets to Pluto. They get ambushed. They do a 1 year jump.
Yeah.
And then they jump to Sirius, which is 8.7 light years away from Earth.
Yes.
Right. And then she sends a message. Then it comes back to the boy. He's completely grown up.
Yes.
Right.
He's a grown man.
Yep. Yep. He's 24. I don't know if that's a grown man to me anymore. But
yeah. But he's a legal adult.
He just gets a single message.
Yep.
That says "Happy birthday" to my 24-year-old friend from your 15-year-old friend.
Which just
that's harsh.
Wreck you.
That's rough, man.
Would just wreck you.
And she's just bawling the whole time. I'm like, you can't take a 15-year-old high school girl that's in love with a boy and rip him out of his hand, rip her out of his arms, and put her in a mech bot and send her off to fight. Like, she's not going to be mentally prepared to handle this. She's got other hormones to deal with.
And so they like I said, they make the jump. They actually find, or maybe find, the alien home planet. We're never confirmed of that, but the aliens are also there, and she wins her final battle. But it's just kind of our closing scene is just her basically drifting in space, dealing with realizing the loss.
Yep.
Because of the space travel. Like, even if they go back, I mean, jumping back is going to be another 8 years.
See, I don't see that. I see it as that would be instantaneous. That she would, if she, so she sends the message.
Because what you're not understanding, Robert, is it's not the fact, it's still instantaneous for her, but the thing is, it's not in relevation of location. It's when you jump at light speed, you move or you age at a slower time. So either direction, 8 years is 8 years.
I don't think so.
No, I was looking that up. I was reading because it was.
No, that's the way it should be, but that's not the way it's depicted in this, in my opinion. Right? Because it takes her about 10 years.
Yeah.
Right, from her leaving Earth.
Yeah.
To no, it 10 years passes for the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
For her, it's like a year.
Yeah. See,
right. And that's where she spends a lot of time training on Mars and traveling from Mars to Jupiter to Pluto, and then doing the jump. So, and she sends the message from Sirius that takes 8.7 years to get to him.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like if she had jumped back right then, if she had jumped all the way to Earth from Sirius, if they have that ability to jump that far, which I assume that they do, she would get there 8 years before the message got to him. That's not how it should work.
No.
As far as modern physics understands it to work. But
so
in this story, that's how I saw it working.
I argue this point only because, and so this is where I'm going to drop some
Look, I'm not going to die on this hill because it's weird.
No, but no, the thing is, like, this is the only reason why I bring this, is I do think that it kind of more aligned with actual how it works, just because, and this is the thing is, so I didn't realize this until I was reading the synopsis after I watched the movie, and I was like, wait, I didn't see this scene, but or reading the plot afterwards. So this came out in 2000, right? In
2002,
or 2002. In 2004, they released a manga.
Yes, that has additional info, which I hate.
Yes, the manga's ending is terrible because it gives you your happily ever after ending. Because essentially what happens, and this is why I think that the time works more like
let's talk about the anime ending.
Okay.
Which,
because I do want to talk about the manga ending, but
from what you see on screen, either there's a fleet of 5 ships.
Yep.
4 of them definitely get destroyed, and then there's one other ship left. She has just gone through this big battle montage, which we don't care anything about the battle montage. That's not what this story's about.
No.
It's just there, right? And she's just drifting in space, wishing that she could be at the bus stop in the rain with her guy, and her mech is just jacked up. It's missing an arm. It's just without any knowledge, she's just drifting forever in space in a broken mech with a torn down fleet. Right.
Yeah, either that or what I always assumed was that because the one surviving ship does seem functional enough. Like, I don't know if they're making jumps, but that they could collect her. And then she's
it's left open to interpretation. She could just be drifting in space in a broken mech forever till she suffocates,
till she dies,
or maybe she's just taking a break after winning the battle.
She's on her ship, and that's not. I mean, I guess there's more people, but other than that, you're just on a ship.
But it ends with their individual dialogues coalescing in a single statement. Yeah, which I'm not going to say what it is. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, continue. There is a manga. Yes, has additional panels, and I think it destroys.
Yes, the manga's ending is it's the same as what I can't remember what it is. The Butterfly Effect. If you ever watched that movie, the original ending.
I hated that movie, but go on. A lot of people like it, and that's fine.
The original ending is what a lot of people say should have been, is where, because in the movie version, he just realizes that he can't be in the girl's life, and so he goes back in time and removes himself. But he gets to see that she lives happily. But in the original ending, he goes back and kills himself.
Oh, I thought that was yeah.
That's the true ending, and that's kind of the thing, is like the true ending is so much more compelling of that, and it's the same with this. But because just like everything else, they need to make a happy ending. Basically, what is discovered is that A does survive and does make it back to her ship, and then also it's established that Earth is sending a rescue mission for him. And on that rescue mission is her guy, and doing with the time dilation. Now that C's staying in one place and he's moving at light speed, by the time that they meet up, it's conveniently been 8 years, and now you're back to being almost the same age, and everybody lives happily ever after. And I was like, bullshit. Yeah, I was like,
but would it be look? So think about this, right? 10 years passes for him.
Yes.
So if she jumped 8 light years, and that past 8 years of time, then when she sends the message from Cirrus that's going to take 8.7 years to get to him,
Yeah.
he would be 32.
Well, that's
not
the thing
24 when he gets the message.
Well, no, because when she makes the jump, it's only he's not 24 when she makes the jump. He's
like 16 or something.
Yeah.
16 or 17. Yeah.
So, oh no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. That is interesting, but also that's the thing that also leads credence to my why I don't think he ever got over, even though he makes it sound like it is. Is like because even in the manga, because I looked it up, like he talks about like he finally succeeded at his goal to join the military and stuff, and then he's finally.
I mean, they talk about that in the cartoon.
Yeah,
as
and
well,
he's talking about.
I don't want to call it a cartoon.
Yeah,
in the show,
he's talking about. He's talking about like, yeah, this is showing that he's finally grown and he's moved past this. But but your goal is joining the military organization that she joined, and like I said, with the manga continuation, you also are first to sign up to go save her. It's like, did you ever get over her? I don't think so. Which is just another tragic part of it, especially if you go with the original ending, not this. Another tragic part of this guy who's just stuck on a girl who he will never get to see again.
But it's different for her because she's not. I mean, it's been such a short amount of time for her.
Exactly. Like
it's only been like 6-7 months for her. So like she's still
about a year. She's 16.
So good.
Yeah, I guess we don't know how.
So heart wrenching, like just sad and beautiful.
So this opens though, and one of the things I wanted to talk about that this movie opened up my thought about is when people talk about because when it comes to the human race, I see there's two. I mean, yes, there are some land places and stuff we haven't fully explored, but there's two main in our realm of physical being, two places we haven't explored, which is the ocean fully and space. And people always will say, well, which one is more intimidating? And I always say the ocean because it's so big, but we know there's stuff down there, where space is so big but it's empty. I mean, yeah, maybe there's something out there, but overall it's empty. So I'm always like, no, the ocean is way more terrifying than space because who knows what's down? We know 100% there is stuff down there. Who knows what is? Maybe Godzilla is real. That sort of thing. Yeah. Where space is like, no, there's no space Godzilla. It's just empty.
That we know.
But
but we've never seen like allusions to space.
But
Godzilla.
I will say the thing that terrifies me about space is what I realized is what this movie is all about. Is that if we start going out into space, the time difference and how that affects us. That's the thing I was about to say. While the ocean is fear of what's down there, space is fear of how does this affect me, in a sense. Because while watching this movie, it's like, oh my gosh, like if this was a real deal where you're signing up for this military, it's like, could you really sign up? Like you're committing, like you said, you are committing to everyone even if it's a short trip, everyone is moving on in life and you're not.
Yeah.
When let's say everything went according to plan, they went to Pluto and came back, you're still coming back, and it's like 5 years.
Yeah, or like the Steve Rogers. Yeah, that couldn't get into the military while he was watching all of his friends go to fight, in Europe, and he's just stuck back, and he's like, just sad.
And and that's what it really started making me think about. It's just the magnitude of, I mean, like I said, there's been the talk of people going to Mars and like how that it'd be a one-way trip and all that sort of stuff if we did it today. And so I know we've talked about it, but this is the real magnitude of what space travel really. Yeah. Yes, we've gone to the moon. We have the International Space Station and we've gone over there, but we have not officially done anything where what if we're looking like a percentage.
We haven't built a house.
Our percentage of space travel is like 0.0000001%. We haven't even reached a percent yet. And I think if we reach a percent, just the magnitude of the sacrifice you would have to take to do that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's just like
man, you gotta watch For All Mankind. Yeah. Okay. That's what makes that show great. Is there's sacrifices throughout that, and that's what really makes that show great, is that because they establish so early on that here's a character that they're always gonna succeed and stuff. It's like, nope, people are gonna die at any time. So usually when you watch a movie or a show or something that has a critical moment, right, and you're like, oh well, I know that the good guy's gonna make it. Yeah. It's like when you watch For All Mankind, you're like, nope. These writers don't care. They'll kill off anybody and they'll blow up anything. So it's just like if you get the tension because every now and then they don't win. Yeah, things go awry and people just die. And then you go on with another group of people.
That's definitely, I definitely need to watch it because, especially after watching Voices of a Distant Star. Yeah, I'm just like, like I said, it got me thinking. I was like, it's really, it's. I mean, of course, it's freaking outer space, and we've been studying it for all this time. It's just like when you really put your mind to it and just think about it, you're just like, what the hell, man?
I mean, I know if I got into a submarine, and went deep into the ocean, I know that I can't just go outside. Yeah. But something about it, I feel something in my head tells me like, well, it's just water. I can just swim up. Obviously, I'm gonna die from the pressure or trying the bends or I'm not gonna if I'm down far enough, I can't get up fast enough or whatever. But just like when you're in a can out in space and it's just like and nothing.
That's talking about like with the space and like how
that's why like you're gonna put them in a mech that's got no walls. They're just out floating in space.
Well, they're in a mech. It just looks like they're. But still,
that's the thing. Feel that way.
But when that's another thing that's crazy to me is just how there's because we live on a planet, we're used to gravity, and if I throw this cup, it's going to stop. Yeah. But in space, like, no, it just keeps going. Yeah. And it's like, the two things is like, one of the things is like, if you're in space and you're headed in a direction and you have nothing to stop you, bye. Yeah. Like, that's just it. But see ya. Yep. Never. And the other thing is also just how many things in space are moving at such high speed. Yeah. That could just.
A little stone the size of, I don't know.
A dime. Even
smaller than that. Yeah. Just a pebble. Yeah. Could be traveling at 100,000 miles an hour and just obliterate your spacecraft.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the biggest hurdles. Everyone's like, oh, light speed. And I was like, oh, don't even worry about how we get going fast enough. Worry about how we survive other things going fast.
Yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason a major component of the Starship Enterprise is its deflector shield. Yeah. Right? Yeah. If that's not working, you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, space is something else, man. Space is something else. And then, like I said, this anime got me thinking about it again. I was just like, motherfucking.
Anyway, beautiful anime. Yes, even if you think that we've ruined it, we have not. Check it out. The atmosphere of it, the score of it, the delivery of the lines, which we didn't even go into any of the dialogue. You know, the dialogue is beautiful and well written, well acted, and just beautifully animated, even though it's aged a bit. Yep. Absolutely worth checking out. Voices of a Distant Star. Yes. I'm really glad that you liked it, Donnell. It's a very important anime to me.
25 minutes. You can bang it out easily. Yeah, easily,
and absolutely worth it. But bring your tissues if it's your first time.
And you're thinking, Cap, man, because it's gonna make you quandary some stuff too. I mean, it's emotional, but it also is like, man, what the hell? Like, yeah.
As always, you can find us on our website, watchinitpod.com. There you can find links to our Instagram. Yeah, to our Instagram and other social media, as well as a link to email us, watchinitpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Donnell, what else should they do?
Well, it's finally time. Invincible's back.
Back to schedule.
I am very excited for it. I'm very excited for it, but I'm also a little not, because I'm like, it's only 4 more episodes, and I'm really excited for, which is stuff that might not even happen in season 3, honestly. I'm really excited for where the story goes. Like, I've gotten some of what's going to happen, and I'm like, oh man, that's going to be, when they animate this is going to be amazing. But some of the stuff I'm looking forward to is like, that's not even be season 3 stuff. That might be season 4. But still, I'm still excited for it coming back. I'm looking forward to it. Assuming you are too, Robert.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love this. I love the characters. I love the brutality of it. I love the music that they put into it, and just the way that they tell the story.
Sprinkle of comedy you get in there.
They're just so good at making you feel things. Yeah. In such what is basic animation. Yeah. And just the way that they tell the story is fantastic.
It's still, to me, and I guess like I said, I mean, at one time, it was a great series, I think, and I think they just ran off the rails. But it still, to me, gets me that the creator and writer of Invincible is the same guy who wrote The Walking Dead. And just like, hey,
Walking Dead was really good.
It was
at one point. Yeah.
At one point, that's what I was saying. Which hopefully that doesn't mean Invincible's going to go the same route.
Anyway, I mean, I'm assuming the Walking Dead comic is really good.
Yeah, I guess true. I don't know how the comic plays out fully. Anyways, get ready for that, folks. And as always, give us any range reviews. 5 stars. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.